two articles really caught my eye. I think that the tide is really changing in the way that people talk about fentanyl, about drug use, and more. First was the Wall Street Journal. Let's put this on the screen. This was a horrifically sad profile, Krystal, of 3 New Yorkers who ordered cocaine from like a text delivery service.
Like a DoorDash kind of thing,
Yeah,
only for
effectively. Wow.
cocaine, apparently.
Yeah. Anyway, these 3 New Yorkers, all of them white-collar professionals. One of them was like a multimillionaire banker.
Jeez.
One of them was like a 26-year-old lawyer. One of them was actually a social worker for New York State.
Sad.
All 3 of them died of a fentanyl overdose. And what's really horrific is actually that they show via text messages that were obtained that the dealer was texting them being like, hey, go easy on this one. It's really strong, and kept like calling and texting them, trying to get an answer because I effectively knew. I mean, I don't know if he himself spiked it, but like he knew at some point that something was wrong with it. He's being prosecuted right now by the New York State and more, but combine that story with another one that recently came out. Matthew Perry put this on the screen. He talks about how he has spent over $9 million trying to get sober. He's part of Alcoholics Anonymous, also was a cocaine user, and has had some serious issues. And I think it's just highlighting like a conversation and changing it in popular discourse that I have not seen in quite some time. There probably is a class element that it's, richer people are dying now.
For
so
sure.
People are paying attention. But, and this has obviously been a horrific crisis now for a decade. I mean, that doesn't mean though that we shouldn't welcome people waking up to like, this is really bad, You
Yes.
have 3 people here who all died for no reason.
Right. Well, and we should be clear, like with, Matthew Perry's a different story, obviously. He's opening up about his struggles with addiction. There's no indication that these were people who were addicted,
No, they were mostly like social drug users,
casual social drug use, which is something that I don't personally have a problem with. In the same way that, people consume alcohol. I mean, to me, this is a perfect case in point of why you need some of the interventions Dr. Carl Hart has talked about. At the very least, there should be an ability to test what you have as long as it's illegal so that you know whether or not it is laced with fentanyl, which is increasingly becoming a huge problem and leading to more and more skyrocketing deaths of people. I mean, there are some people who are, hardcore junkies and addicts who actually are seeking out fentanyl, but many of the people who are dying from fentanyl, they don't want fentanyl. They don't know this is what they're getting. They don't know this is what they're ingesting. And so that creates, incredibly dangerous situation. Obviously, my, overall view is it should be legal, taxed, and regulated so that you don't end up with these sorts of horrific incidents. But I mean, putting all of that aside, it's just an unbelievable tragedy. And it's sad that it takes like wealthier people who don't fit the stereotypical idea of who is dying from drug use in order to wake up the Wall Street Journal or wake up the population in general. But yeah, this is just a growing problem. Every year we see the numbers go up and up and up.
We can cry about the class element, and I think it is bullshit that people don't care until, like rich people die. That being said, I mean, everybody's still dying, and we should do something about it. And that is, I mean, more than anything, I just think it's such a horrific, slow-burning crisis. Recently, one of my favorite actors, Michael Williams, died from The Wire. He also, a long time sober, same thing, like went back on heroin, it was spiked, OD'd, killed. I mean, and after like 20 years of being sober, and he relapsed, all it takes is one time, and then that was it, and he's dead. And there's so many people like that who just highlight, how bad the crisis is right now. I thought it was important that people kind of see these stories. I encourage people to go and read this. We're talking about like an Iranian immigrant's daughter just like graduated from Columbia Law School. One of those guys, he's had a pregnant wife, stressed out, like checked into a hotel room just to like relax, I guess, and work. Same thing, died. The other one was a social worker. She actually had an 8 p.m. call, which, she was doing her job, and she was dead like hours later. So look, I mean, they're just 3 of what? 50 to 100,000 who will die this year. And it's the #1 cause of death for people who are under the age of 65, supplanting car accidents for the first time in modern American history. And really, nobody talks about it until something like this goes
And
on.
a lot of it is the ubiquity of fentanyl, which...
Yeah, it is all fentanyl.
Yeah, which is, I mean, the reason that dealers like fentanyl is because it is so potent. That makes it easier to traffic because you don't have to have as much of it.
It's very small.
Very small. And so that makes it easier to transport and easier to traffic. And that's how it ends up, laced throughout the illegal drug market. So absolutely a tragedy. No one is, having serious conversation really about how to deal with it. Ultimately, they prefer to close their eyes oftentimes. And, part of this is also the spike in deaths of despair, but the particular exacerbating factor right now is, the continued widespread misery. Layered on top of that, the introduction of fentanyl and, things that were never laced with fentanyl before now being laced with fentanyl in ways that people are not at all prepared with.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll see you guys later.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.